I went to an advisory board meeting and it was a bunch of physicians and there was 3 APPs. So it was myself and then 2 NPs. I, at that time, did not have a doctorate. The other NP did not have a doctorate. The third NP was in academia and had her DNP. That meant that industry saw her as more qualified. In my opinion, to even have a seat at the table to be taken seriously, you need that doctoral degree.
So why would anybody go and get it? Why would you spend more time going through schooling? Maybe for a little bit of a pay bump, but you've done it and I'm sure you've reaped the benefits of it. So I'd love to hear from you why you decided to do that and how it has helped.
I have a very distinct road to Damascus story regarding my doctorate.
Okay.
So it's perfect. So I started doing consulting work about 2015, 2016, and started to get into that with pharmaceutical companies, medical education companies.
Okay.
And in 2018, I went to an advisory board meeting and it was a bunch of physicians and there was 3 APPs. So it was myself and then 2 NPs. I, at that time, did not have a doctorate. The other NP did not have a doctorate. The third NP was in academia and had her DNP. So we're sitting in this meeting and they continued to reference to us just to get the PA-NP perspective. And we would say something, myself or the other NP that was just master's trained, and they'd say, oh, yeah, that's very nice. Let's hear what the doctor of nurse practitioner says. And anytime we would say anything, they would just politely nod, and then they would basically look to the DNP. Yeah, they would look to the DNP and be like, but what do you think? And at one point, they even said the quiet part out loud. The meeting organizer said, we are just so blessed to have a doctorate trained nurse practitioner here who is able to provide her expertise as a leader in her industry and her field. And the irony of it is, like, her insights were okay, but she was in academia. She was not clinically practicing. She was not as connected into the day-to-day needs of patients in the topic that we were talking about, but she had her doctorate. So that meant that industry saw her as more qualified. And I left that meeting and said, you know what? We work in an industry where everybody has a doctorate.
Yeah.
PT, OT, PhDs, everybody is at a doctoral level. And if you are doing anything that is non-clinical, in my opinion, to even have a seat at the table to be taken seriously,
you need
that doctoral degree. So I enrolled within like a month, and then it actually worked out perfect. I did my doctorate through COVID, graduated in 2021. So I had lots of time since we were locked down to work on it. So I did it in healthcare leadership. I did not do a clinical doctorate because it doesn't change your scope.
Right.
I feel like there's plenty of opportunities to become more clinically proficient in your craft without spending tuition dollars to do it.
Experience.
So I specifically went after something that would broaden my skill set in an area that I didn't have as much formal training.
Yeah.
And it worked out. Within a year, I'd say, of graduating, my consulting rates had doubled. So I had made back my tuition dollars within a year. And it certainly has opened the door for more leadership, more consulting, more advisory positions, and probably also played a positive role in me getting my leadership position at my day job clinically. So it definitely has worked out. What I would tell people that are PAs or NPs that are considering their doctorate is, if you're doing it for clinical reasons, don't. I think there's so much opportunity with free CME, with online programs. You don't need to pay $900 per credit hour to become a better clinician. There's other paths for that. If you are going to go back and get your doctorate, have a plan. I would not go get a doctorate without a clear understanding of how you are going to get an ROI on that. But there's a lot of opportunity, whether it's hospital administration, whether it's consulting or education. That doctorate really is the cost of entry, where to be taken seriously, to be able to have a voice, to be someone that they listen to, you probably do need it. So I'm very happy with it. I'm glad I did it. I think it was well worth the cost, but I think the key is to have a plan and have a distinct 5-year career projection of why you need the doctorate and what you're going to do with it.
Awesome. Yeah, that answers my question.